But before we started recording, we were talking a little bit. You're a real estate investor. Let's talk a little bit about your real estate portfolio. You said you got some vacation rentals and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. My wife and I do a little bit of that. I was telling you, we don't have, we don't own apartments and like houses for long-term lease, everything short-term vacation rental. So, that, and she has been like the driver of that amazing, like she's designed these houses and condo. I mean, she's done an unbelievable job. But so we've got, a place in Whistler, a place in, Breckenridge, place in Vancouver, a place in Cabo, and things like that. And so
Sweet.
we try to set it up in a way that is, a property that is going to appreciate in value. Obviously, like you want, your appreciation on your investment, your equity. But where the rental or the vacation income is going to, honestly break even is fine, but we looked at, try to make X amount, X percent. And so we make money off the investment properties. And then of course we're going next week, spring break, taking our kids up skiing at Whistler. And so we'll get to use them and enjoy these properties. And then, sometimes give them away to friends and things like that too. And she likes to put them in charity auctions and stuff like that. And I'm like, I bet we don't like give away so many of these days, especially like in some of that higher end properties, because it's like these things, it's a big note on it. It's a big number. Yeah. And then, the thing, and part of the thing about, Canada too, is like when you're in Canada, it's just like crazy regulation, taxes, whatever. And then when you're trying to also do that plus your management fee, plus like pay Canadian taxes, and then you have to pay foreign tax to import, bring it to you. I mean, so like that's a little more complicated, but it works. Yeah, the first one was Vancouver because my wife's actually from there, and so that was the first was condo downtown, like and again, like she pretty much did everything and like doubled or tripled in value over maybe 8 years, and so like what was limited, we rented for a while, and then went from there to a different place like Breckenridge, and then we started with like a 2-bedroom there in a really cool place, to ski in, ski out. You know what I mean? So like you just like walk right out, pick your skis up, down the go, and then upgraded after maybe 5-6 years to a 4-bedroom, a larger place, right? And so like now like we went up, we west, we got Christmas and the New Year's, and we took a bunch of friends and just had a blast skiing and stuff like that. But then has a higher rental value, and it's more on the luxury and stuff like that. So that's been really really cool, really fun. But she, not again, I just have to credit her because she is the one who, man, she sources these things. She like designed some things we bought into, some things we built, and like she just designs them. And I mean, she didn't go to school for that, like that, but like she's just amazing at it.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Well, and you get some unique locations. Just like when we're talking to people, like, oh yeah, we got places down in Florida or at the lake or things like that. But what made you decide on Colorado, Vancouver, Cabo? What took you to those areas?
Yeah. So one is that like she's from Vancouver, right? So that for like Vancouver, and then Whistler, which is like 2 hours up from Vancouver. Last time we were there, I got to and she scheduled this for me too. Like they had the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. So they kept their bobsled run, which is up the mountain, like up in Whistler. I go through all the ski, the ski.
Only about half our Whistler was in Colorado.
So did I, until you said that.
No, it's in British Columbia. That's what there. And it's great. Like if you've been to Vancouver before.
No, I heard it's awesome.
Oh, Vancouver is incredible. Yeah. She showed me all around and whatever. And then we got a house there. It's really in Surrey, which is like,
is that like an island or like a peninsula? Be cool where that's
well, it's right on the ocean, perhaps, so it's just, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like 1 year in the Northwest, so it's kind of the same, but the house we have there is in Surrey, which is like right across. I mean, you can see the U.S. from the balcony or whatever, and the ocean. And then, but the place of Whistler is actually a unit we own in the Four Seasons. So the Four Seasons has in vacation, like you can own
Oh, it's got
all properties, and you're only allowed to actually reserve it like 30 days a year or whatever, because they want making sure they have like openings for guests and stuff like that. But it's awesome because it's in the Four Seasons, like, which is top notch. And then of course they handle everything and charge you a hefty price, but it's worth it in that sense. But so that's kind of how we got there. And then, like, loving to ski, Colorado, what a place you could go and fly in quickly and then get in, get out. And so that led to, Breckenridge. And then we're like, we also want, nice warm beach kind of stuff. So we kind of other
spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of think about in terms of like where places we want to go, where we want to visit, where we want to spend time. We want to take our kids. And we kind of really, we take some, like, we just took a trip to, Vegas together, whatever, just the two of us. But most of our stuff, like, we want our kids with us. Like, we want to take them along. And then we actually talk to them about what we're doing. Why do we buy this? Like, what, we sit down and even show them high level, like, here's the income, here's what it costs to do this, right? Like, I have all these games I create too. Like, one day I brought like my paycheck home, all in like $1 and $5 bills, right? Like, and spread out so it looks like all this money on the table, whatever, and it's like, okay, now here's your bill, here's your mortgage, here's your this, right? You start taking this money away, right? And we did that. I created a game for like how the national debt works and interest. Like, I mean, anyway, I love doing that kind of stuff, but we want to try to include them in those things because that's just part of them growing up. It's still like now I'm trying to force them to be like, you got to get into this and do this, but like we want them to understand. Yeah, like, oh,
How old are they?
they range from 9 to 19.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So my oldest is
right? You 5?
Yeah, 5. Yeah, my oldest is a freshman at Baylor. Very cheap school, very in the Greek. It's they think very highly of their education process there. But yeah, he's doing good. So it's all the way from 9 to 19, and they're all. It's crazy just how unique they are in their own ways, but it's a blast, and it's like such a great age because they're not at what old stuff at college, but the other one from 16 to 9, they're not like there's not in that stage where like too cool for school and like, oh, my parents. I mean, we embarrass them. I feel like it's part of my job as a dad to really embarrass them a little bit, right? Sure, this is character building, yeah. And but it's just a sweet spot because they're all independent. Like we right past the diapers and like feedings and all that kind of stuff, and which it has. I loved every stage, but this is a cool one. Like last night, we just sitting around the dinner table and talking about politics and political philosophy and stuff like that. And my daughter was like, "Well, what really is communism?" And like we had like this dinner, with 13-year-olds and a bit bigger 9-year like about it. And I really try hard because I think part of like what is so toxic in our political debates or discussion now is that I believe we should really be teaching and helping people form their political philosophy and their political principles before they get attached to people and parties.
Yes.
Great. And because now it's just reactive. It's like this happened, this decision, this I hate this, I don't like that person, or they're taking away this or ruining that or whatever. And it's like, well, let's go back to the fundamentals first and say, what is government actually for? How is our government formed? What is it for? And I really try hard to be, a little bit Socratic because like I want them to form their own opinions. Obviously I want to inform them as well, but I don't want to just be like, oh, here's what you believe, and that's the other stuff's dumb, and
I'm this, so you're this too.
Right. So I try to push them and go like, hey, what do you think government's for? What's the purpose of government? Like, the Supreme Court just decided this. You don't like that decision, but is it because you personally disagree with the thing that's going to happen, or because you believe that the Constitution actually allows for that thing and they're wrong about the Constitution, right? Like, anyway, so I just like those kind of things. But so we're just that fun stage where we get to have, and believe me, we'll sit around. I don't want to give you this false impression. Like, yeah, we sit around and talk political philosophy, and we're reading Plato every night at the dinner table. Like, a lot of times it's highs and lows, or what I call happies and crappies. A lot of times it's jokes that we're showing each other videos. Like my daughters love to make videos of themselves doing, they rap songs up about all of us. So like, they're
To that, they're the ones we need on here, right?
Yeah. Well, they're actually not good rappers, but they create some good lyrics and really good dances and videos, and they captured it pretty well. And
That's scary. Oh man. This has been great having you on, Jeremy. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything else you wanted to bring out that we didn't get to?
Man, I can think of lots of things, but I think we've had a great conversation. I just really enjoyed getting to meet you guys, hear a little bit more about, what you're doing. I think, I wanted even to hear a little bit more about, what you guys are hoping for this podcast and the future of it and how it's going to influence people and the big, kind of why that you guys have, right? I know we talked a lot, or I've heard a lot here and everything about, people developing their purpose. And I think that's important because, Viktor Frankl said he was the guy who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, which I think maybe one of the greatest books of the 20th century. Yeah. I mean,
Probably like the third person that's right. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, we need to read that way.
really? Yeah. I mean, he's an Austrian Jew, right? Who, what does the Holocaust search is what? Man's Search for Meaning. He says, one of the great things he says in there is, he goes, the one thing you can never take from me. And this is a man that he had everything. He had just finished his magnum opus. He was a doctor, psychiatrist, and they took it, tore it to pieces, right? He lost his wife and kids. Of course, it took every bit of property, money, or thing. Then the degree, suffragette. And he goes, the one thing the one thing no one can ever take from me.
They do body now, yeah.
There it is. There you're lit. Hey, you just pulled it out for you. He says, the one thing you can never take from me is how I choose to respond to what you did. That you take everything else, right? But you cannot change the way I choose to respond to what you do. And so, part of that is what kept him going. And there's you always have some choice. You always have some agency, in that. But that actually wasn't the quote I was going to bring up. But that's just one of the ones that blows me away. Every time I'm complaining about stuff or whatever, I'm like, this dude was like, shit, hey, you know what? I'm still
better than Mark.
yeah, in that sense. But the big thing I was going to say, he said, is if you have a big enough why, you can overcome and endure virtually any how. So when you have that compelling vision, a why, something that is so damn important for you, then you can overcome any how, whatever it takes to get there, right? So the question is, do I have a big enough why? Do I have a big enough, meaning and purpose? Anyway, I think they came out of me just asking you guys a little bit about,
Oh yeah, no, I mean, why did we start this podcast and kind of why we decided to do this was, it kind of stemmed from our buddy who produces the show for us. He was I was meeting up with him once or twice a week, and we'd sit here and we'd film, we call it talking head content when it was just primarily real estate stuff. It was oh, what do you want to talk about today? And, I'd come up with a little script and I'd end up reading off the script, but it always kind of sounded like I was reading from script. And then eventually it turned into him just asking me a question, and then I just riff on it for a few minutes, and then he'd clip out the best parts, and there was a video. And then, he had a podcast and I was a guest on it, and I'm just a huge fan and consumer of podcasts. And, I was like, man, maybe we should, instead of getting together once or twice a week and just spending an hour just making these little videos, why don't we just do a podcast? And then I was like, well, I don't know if I want to just take on this whole venture by myself. So Pat and I were, we were already kind of creating some content together. We're making these funny little silly skit videos. We had one where he dressed up as Santa and I was an elf, and we brought some people in and they're sat on his lap and oh, Christmas, I want a 3-bedroom 2-bath. And, we'd it was all real estate stuff. And Pat and I have always been good friends, and, we had a lot in common, both athletes, both dads. And, we got together and we're like, okay, what do we want to do? What do we want this podcast to be about? And it turned into, stuff that we like to, something not something that we would say we're absolute experts on, but something that we have a lot to say about is manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, all things that we're kind of really involved in. And we have a pretty good network of people that we've gotten to know. And it's man, I just love to have the opportunity to come in here, sit across the table from someone and just have a conversation for an hour and a half and really get to learn. Cause that's one of the best things I've gotten out of this is I've gotten to sit down with, over 100 people at this point and just have great conversations and learn. Like I feel like I'm a completely different person today than I was a year ago, from doing this. And, it's kind of like a little bit of therapy too. And sometimes you just get some stuff off your chest and, sometimes you forget people are listening and, it's great. And, it's kind of why we did it.
Yeah. What's one of the things that a guest has said on here that has had like a major impact on you guys? Like that really was like, bam, or I don't know if it was revelatory or if it.
I mean, there's, now I was going to end to that. I mean, like, I feel like I've learned something from every guest that we have on. So it's hard to pinpoint like one specific thing, but like taking away from today is, focusing on leadership and putting myself in that vision of a leader and seeing myself as a leader and thinking about what that leader does and continue to move forward with it and improve on where I'm already at in terms of where I see myself as a leader currently and revisioning that and growing on that aspect of leadership. We go back, I mean, shoot, it's just a lot of the same stuff though that we see that comes up is, the why behind it, having a strong why. Everyone that we've had on here, like you just mentioned, having a very strong why. And, that's one thing that my coach that I've had for years, that was the very first thing we sat down and talked about. We spent a whole first couple of coaching calls on getting to that why. And it was just him asking like, hey, tell me about yourself and, what do you think your why is? And I'm saying, he goes, but why do you think that? And then I go, why do you think that? Why? I just kept asking me why until we finally got to the root of it. But ultimately, like, that's the biggest thing is that why. And it changes. I mean, it does. It's like when I first got into business prior to kids, like my why was different than what it is now. Now it's all about my kids and making sure I'm showing them what it's like to be a man, be successful. And it's great that we have this here that as we get older and all that, and as my kids get older, that this is something that they come back on and see like all the things that have been said and talked about and things that they can pick up and learn from it. It's been huge. Like, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that a couple episodes ago. It's like if it's like a time capsule, it'd be really cool if I could look back and, see a couple 100 hours of my dad talking when he was in his early to mid 30s, like that'd be a pretty cool thing to go back and see. And, it's like my boys will be able to do that, and it's like, God forbid something happened to me. It's like, boom, well, you got several 100 episodes to go watch your dad and, kind of learn about who he was, what he was all about, what he thought, about this or that.
I didn't think about that, but later, man, like that makes me want to start a podcast. Yeah, just out of that. Yeah. And if you guys run into John Knightsley around here, he's not, I actually remember the club, but he's always here because he's friends with Matt and different people, but, he does a bunch of different stuff. But one of the things he started doing is like legacy videos for families. And so, usually like the adult kids are driving or whatever, like we want mom and dad to sit down. Like he has very high production value and all that kind of stuff. He used to be a news anchor and everything like that. So he interviews them and draws them out where, but you get like this, like they do a couple, like they do a 10-minute one, a 30-minute 1 hour or something like that. But like, so you get to give your kids, your grandkids, whatever, like that video. Yeah. Video of them talking about like their values and what it was that drove them, how they met and all that kind of stuff. And, I was hanging out with some friends, the other day, and their mother-in-law was over, and like she's super quiet. They're like, oh, she never talks to blah blah blah. And I was like, sit down and talk to her, man. Yeah. And I just asked her a couple questions, like, well, how did you meet your husband? Whatever. Like all of a sudden, like she starts telling these stories, and like the family is like, we'd never heard her had a story before. I'm like, yeah, did you ask? Yeah, like. Again, it's curiosity. It's not, and it's not like I wasn't going like, oh, can I get some things out of her? I just was like curious. I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested because she's 82 years old or whatever. So she's got something to teach me. I'm like, how did you meet this? What was this like? I don't know.
Let's think of all the things that she's lived through.
Yeah.
Like
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. Well, and Jeremy, like I said, it was great having you on, man. This has been a real joy. So before we get you out of here,
I'd like to end with one last question. Play a little game called the Tombstone Game. Here lies Jeremy. Once it's in your tombstone. What would you like to say?
I bet says, those who knew him best loved him most. It's beautiful. It's awesome. I think that would be pretty good. That would be fun, faith, and family.
say again. Yeah, that's good.
But I'll take either one. But that's important. That's an important question. I'm like, yeah, so I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, we have a book club.
We've been at about it last
Yeah, it's the last 2 months, but last year we read a book a month and then we recorded an episode on it.
Victor Frankl should be an open
But yeah, we read this book that claimed to be the new How to Make Friends and Influence People book. And it wasn't. It was bad.
It was like of all the ones we read last year, by far our least favorite.
Least favorite by far. But we did get one thing out of it.
The James Stokey.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
it's cool.
Sorry, I always get one thing. Like we can always get something.
Always. Yes. We just say, we end every episode with that question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Ever since we read that book. So
Yeah.
we're 100+ episodes now playing the Tombstone game.
Yeah. The only other thing I want is after we turn off, I want you to share with me one jujitsu move without seriously injuring you.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button for us yet, please do so. That would help us out a ton. Click that like button as well and comment what you thought below, and we'll see you next time.